Hi, we're going to do ABGs today. ABGs are really scary for a lot of people. I tried to make it a little bit more simple, so hopefully this is helpful. Okay, so let's start. So when we're looking at ABGs, when you actually draw an ABG from your arterial blood, you're looking at a bunch of different results. But when we're calculating an ABG, there's only a few things we're actually looking at that we care about. So I'm going to be looking at pH, and I'm going to be looking at HCO3, and I'm going to be looking at PaCO2. Okay, so when I'm looking at these, we're going to be saying, okay, so what's normal? So pH normal is 7.35 to 7.45. HCO3 22 to 26, and PaCO2 35 to 45. Okay, so when we're looking at these, anything within this range on my results is normal. So what I'm going to do is set up like a chart to graph those in. My middle section is going to be what's considered normal. The right side is base, the left side is acidic. So if I get, for example, a pH that is, let me pick a different color. So if I get a pH result that is 7.33 and HCO3 that is 20 and PaCO2 that is 33, I'm going to look at that and say, okay, pH is going to be acidic, and my HCO3 is going to be acidic. And PaCO2 is where you run into a little bit of like tricky, okay? So let's talk about PaCO2 for a second. So the measure of PaCO2 is actually your partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide being stuck in your body is an acid, okay? So carbon dioxide is acid. So if I get rid of carbon dioxide, I'm getting rid of acid. If I hold on to carbon dioxide, I'm holding on to acid. So the more carbon dioxide I have, the more acidic I am. The less carbon dioxide I have, the more base I am. So when we look at a range of carbon dioxide of 33 to 35, it's a little misleading because it's backward. So when I write out my ABGs, I like to write acid and base up here. But this can't stay like this. So I actually write it backward. Because the more PaCO2 you have, the more CO2 you have in your body, the more acidic you are. The less you have in your body, the more base you are. Okay? Because CO2 is an acid. So the higher it is, the more acidic you are. So let's look at our PaCO2 here. It is 33, which puts us as base. Okay? So when I look at this result, I'm going to look at it and say, okay, what do I have? I figured out where they belong on the chart as far as acid, normal, or base, but what would I call this? So HCO3 is considered metabolic. And PaCO2 is respiratory. So whatever lines up with the pH in your chart is what names the ABG. So HCO3 is metabolic, and it is what is lined up with pH. So I have metabolic acidosis. Okay, so let's get a new color. We have that's not right. Let's start that again. Metabolic. Metabolic acidosis. Okay, so now we have to figure out, okay, I know I have metabolic acidosis, but is it uncompensated? Or is it partially compensated? Or is it fully compensated? So to figure out if we have uncompensated, partially compensated, or fully compensated, we have to look at where something belongs on the graph. So first of all, what am I trying to compensate for? I'm trying to get my body's pH to be normal. That's what I'm trying to compensate for. A normal pH. Okay? So first of all, this is only fully compensated if pH is normal. pH isn't normal here. So we know automatically that this metabolic acidosis is not fully compensated because my pH is not normal. Okay? So next, I look at uncompensated or partially compensated. Uncompensated is if my PAL, my PaCO2 over here, is helping out. Okay? And it is. Now, how do I know that it's helping? I know that it's helping because PaCO2 is going opposite of what's going on. So my body is in a state of acidosis. So the opposite system, the respiratory system, is making itself base. to compensate as much as it can for the acidotic problem going on in the body to help pull that pH to the middle. Okay? So this is partially compensated. Okay? And I always have told students that I've taught, it's kind of like you can't fix yourself, you have to go to a therapist. Okay? Metabolic can't fix metabolic. Respiratory has to help fix metabolic, and vice versa. If it was PaCO2 over here, HCO3 would be the one in a partially compensated situation needing to pull base. Okay? They have to be opposite. One has to be acidotic and one has to be alkaline over in that base scenario to pull it opposite, okay? To help make it partially compensated to try and pull that pH back to the normal center, okay? That's how we know it's partially compensated, is that nothing is in the middle, but they're pulling opposite. Now, how do I know if something is uncompensated? Let's pretend respiratory, the PaCO2 is in the middle. If HCO3 or PaCO2 are in the middle and pH is not normal, that is uncompensated, because the opposite one that is not lined up with pH is not doing anything to help compensate for it. It's just hanging out in the middle, normal range, not doing anything to try and help compensate to pull that pH into a normal range. Okay? So that's how we tell the difference between uncompensated, partially compensated, or fully compensated. That's also how we tell what lines up, whether it's respiratory with the pH or metabolic with the pH, and how we answer if it's respiratory acidosis, respiratory alkalosis, or metabolic with whatever lines up with the pH. So hopefully this helped. It's just a really super quick overview of ABGs. If you want extra time working with ABGs with me, you can contact me on Study Nursing with Nurse Amy on my web page on Facebook. Also, remember, this is not for diagnosis purposes. It is just to hopefully help you understand nursing better and help you study. Thanks for watching.